Hi, my name's Chris Terrell. So I've lost 115 pounds in 2 years. And I want to tell you a little bit more about my story and how I was able to accomplish that. To do that, I need to start all the way in the beginning, which would be 2 years ago, and set the scene on what it was like before. Here's a picture of me near the beginning of my weight loss journey when I was at my biggest. At the time, I didn't particularly like having photos of myself taken, so I don't actually have a lot of photos of me at that time. I was a professional dieter at this point. I had gained and lost weight over and over and over again. I had tried the keto diets, I had tried Weight Watchers, I'd even tried a extreme caloric restriction diet that was doctor supervised where I only had 800 calories a day, and it was only through pudding, shakes, and liquid. So that was it. That one was a tough one. And I had had varying degrees of success with these diets in the past by dropping weight, but every time I always eventually fell off the bandwagon and gained the weight back plus a little bit more. Then I'd get fed up eventually and I'd go back on another diet, lose the weight, and then fall off the bandwagon and gain it all back plus a little bit more. I was the classic yo-yo dieter. Lose the weight, gain it all back plus more. Lose the weight, gain it all back plus more. Rinse and repeat. Well, about 2 years ago, I had finally reached a point where I was broken. My father had just passed away. He was extremely close to me, and we spoke every day. He was my business mentor, my day job, and losing him suddenly was very difficult. I was also in a job I didn't particularly like, and I had other personal things that I was working through. And I found myself at a point where I one day got on the scale and I saw the number of 290 pounds. I was also barely fitting into any of my clothes. I was about to start needing to buy 3XL shirts because I couldn't hardly find any 2XLs that fit. But I didn't want to diet again. I had failed so many times before. The last thing I wanted to do was to go on another miserable diet when I was already feeling miserable about myself. And so I'm sitting here wanting to make a change, and I'm lost. I'm down in Arkansas for the funeral of my father. And at one point in the trip, I was at Chick-fil-A with my sister and her husband. And her husband, he looks at me and he goes, "Man, Christopher," my family calls him Christopher, he goes, "I'm worried about you. I'm going to give you a challenge." He doesn't know that at this point I'm desperately looking for something to do, but I'm terrified of failing again because I didn't know if I could take it. And so he says, "I just want you to move for 20 minutes, 3 times a week." That's it. 20 minutes, 3 times a week. And I'm thinking, I can do that. Like, who can't move for 20 minutes 3 times a week? Like, you're issuing this to me thinking it's a challenge? I mean, I can do this. But I'm also thinking, like, I can do this. Like, I think I can actually do that. And so I said, all right, well, I'm going to be going back home. At the time was Kansas City that weekend. I'm like, all right, Monday when I get back, I'm going to start working out. And last time when I lost weight, I did swimming. And I had really good success with it, and it didn't hurt. And I thought, well, I'll just start swimming again. And I'm also thinking, well, I should add a food component to it. So I think, well, if I'm not hungry, I won't eat. I mean, that's it. Because I was realizing, like, I eat a lot when I'm not hungry. So Monday comes around, and I'm like, okay, it's time. So I take all my swim stuff, I put it in a bag, and I leave it in my truck. And I just tell myself, I just got to get in the truck and drive to the gym. It's a 2-minute drive away. Get there, and I can start swimming. So I go to the gym, I get in the pool, and I managed to get 400 meters in 20 minutes. And I thought I was going to die the entire time. It was so hard. It was so hard. And but I felt a sense of accomplishment. I was like, I did it. Like, I didn't have to swim a certain distance. It was just time. I just needed to be moving for 20 minutes. So I couldn't fail at that. All I had to do was just keep moving. So then I go home and, I have my dinner and I just sit on the couch and I'm like, oh, this feels really good to just be able to relax guilt-free. And so 2 days later, I go back to the gym and I'm thinking, all right, well, I'll just do a little bit better. I managed to do the workout, do the distance again. And after a couple of weeks of this, I'm starting to feel pretty good. Starting to feel that sense of accomplishment, like I'm getting something done. And I also in this time did something else very differently. Every other time when I tried to lose weight, I told everybody. I told everybody in the world what I was doing. Why? Because I felt it was going to help hold me accountable. This time I thought, you know what? Every time I've tried to lose weight before, it hasn't worked. So I'm going to instead quit pretending like I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to try to do everything differently. So if my first inclination was to do this, I'm going to first look at the opposite direction and consider that one. So rather than lose the weight quickly, I thought, well, I'll lose it slowly. Rather than telling everyone, I'm going to tell no one. So the only person I told was my best friend, because I needed to talk to somebody about this. Otherwise, I just kept it to myself. Little did I know, those two decisions of losing the weight slowly and not telling everybody were critical factors in me actually being successful this time. Because in the past, every time I had failed, I had felt immense amount of shame because I was going to have to go to people and they were going to see me failing. And that put even more pressure on me and made it actually much more difficult. The other thing was, every time I tried to lose the weight quickly, I'm never putting into place new habits and routines to allow me to actually keep the weight off, and that gave me sufficient time to practice these new habits. So I decided to keep that going. And I thought, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to modify the working out a little bit. I said I could either do 3 times a week for 30 minutes or 4 times a week for 20 minutes, and I can go back and forth as needed. So if my job got a little bit busy one week, I would only work out 3 times. If I could see it wasn't going to be as busy as a week, then I would do 4. And that was immensely helpful, giving myself that wiggle room and giving myself a backup plan and making that decision when I was in a good headspace, when I was in a good point to decide this is how I want to react in the event I get busy in my day job, because I knew that was likely to happen. And now in the first month or two, I really didn't get on the scale. I didn't know how much I weighed, other than when I first got on it to get my starting weight. And I told myself, I'm not going to really focus on the number at first. I just want to feel better, and I want to see if my clothes get a little bit looser. Because as I said in the beginning, I was busting out of 2XLs. Like, I really would have just been fine to have them fit a little bit nicer. And after a month and a half or so, I got on the scale and started seeing that the number was going down. And I got really, really excited at seeing this progress, seeing the number go down, and I started to actually think, I might actually be able to do this. This isn't as hard as it was before. The reason why it wasn't as hard as it was before is I wasn't trying to change everything up at once. I was just trying to change a few things as I went. So, if this story sounds similar to you at all, if you've been someone who's a serial dieter, you've been going up and going down, and you're looking for help, you might consider looking at incremental changes to your diet rather than making huge sweeping changes all at once, relying purely on your willpower to keep it going. Now, if you would like some additional help with this, I do offer weight loss coaching and one-on-one support for those that are needing it. I've walked the journey before. I know how hard weight loss can be. And if you're looking for more guidance and support, check out my website. Link is down in the description below, and you can sign up for a free, no obligation 30-minute call just to talk. We can see what your goals are, see if there's anything I can do to help you achieve your goals.